second half.
Here comes Gooden gonna score the 2 and 1.
Full drive inside. Stop. Hang on a pivot. Turnaround jump shot is good.
Jordan Battle with a nice spin move. Kicks it down low. Fardaws, Big Maple with the finish.
What's up, Black Hoops Nation? It is early on this Thursday morning. We have a special guest that we'll bring on in just a second. But before that, I want to show you, I'll stand up. Yes, we've created some apparel for the Straight Outta Whack podcast as well as Whack Hoops Digest. The shop is live. I'll post it on the episode in the link below in the description so you can check it out. It'll also be on Twitter. As you can see, I'm going to turn my hat around. We have some hats that we got going here for the Straight Outta Whack podcast as well as Whack Hoops Digest. They're all so excited. And it's a good morning to do this because as we continue with this UT-Arlington preview week, we have UT-Arlington women's basketball head coach Shereka Wright joining us today on the podcast. How you doing?
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today?
Wonderful. And Daryl, I think it's probably warm enough that you can enjoy the morning there instead of it being, 30 or 40 degrees.
Yeah, it's about 50 degrees with a little bit of overcast here. Not bad at all.
Southern California.
Nice.
Yes. Shereka, how's it going? I mean, you're getting ready for the WAC. It's, coming off a Sun Belt Conference Tournament Championship, NCAA Tournament game where you took Iowa State down to the, buzzer, I guess you could say, kind of late game heroics, I guess, by the Cyclones to pull that out. But, I mean, got to be excited for a new challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, we have a lot of excitement going on our campus right now. Obviously, we have, obviously a new AD in John Fagg, and then obviously a new president in Jennifer Colley, Dr. Colley. So it's a lot of excitement going on and obviously going into a new conference. So we have a lot of things that we're looking forward to. And as you alluded to, we had a remarkable season last year. Had a great run. That team was very, very special just because of the things that we could do and turned it on at the right time, right? That's what you want your teams to be able to do, especially going into March. And that was some of the things that we talked about. We went into the Sun Belt Conference tournament with a loss at home on our senior night. And the thing for us was that we had a loss. We always bounced back at the right time. We always kind of stopped it, right when we needed to. And our kids just clicked. They clicked once we got to the Sun Belt tournament, did some really, really great things and led us to go to the NCAA tournament and played a very, very good Iowa State team. Obviously, I have a lot of respect for Coach Finley and what he does and just the fan support. The fan support was great for us to be a part of. That environment wasn't very important for us to play in. And more so than anything was that our president got a chance to travel with us to see what it looks like for us to be playing in the NCAA tournament, not just for women's basketball, for all sports at UTA. And so, that's the standard that we have for ourselves. That's the expectation that we have for ourselves every year. And so, that is kind of what we've been focusing on here since we started official practice.
Daryl, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Shereka, it's kind of ironic that you guys lose your final home game of the season on senior night, and then you go on to win the Sun Belt Conference Tournament. Yeah. Stephen F. Austin, who won the WAC tournament last year, they lost their final home game of the regular season too, and then they went on to win, I believe it was 2 or 3 games in the WAC. I mean, that's kind of crazy now that you're both in the same conference. Like, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, it is. And, obviously Stephen F has done, some things that we're trying to get to, right? It's a standard that has been happening there. Kellogg have a lot of respect for, him and what he has done there at Stephen F. Austin. But this, the traditional women's basketball has been there, right? I mean, they've been very, very good there and stuff. And so, and that is always the standard. When I came in here and became the head coach, we knew coming in, Troy had set that standard, in the Sun Belt of, who we're trying to chase and compete for, championships. So it's the same thing. And, I'm just excited because it's not just about Stephen F. Austin, but it's just, again, the teams that we do have within the WAC and different styles of play, which I'm excited for.
Daryl, you had a comment. Go ahead.
As UTA makes this move into the WAC, we talk about, the WAC taking the next step in women's basketball, which is a multi-bid conference, multiple bids to multiple postseason tournaments. Do you feel like we're in a spot right now to be able to achieve that goal this year or in the next couple?
Yeah, I do, Daryl. I think that, obviously when you look at it all, the non-conference piece of it really, really matters, right? It's, really who you're playing. And when you look at our teams from top to bottom, there are some definitely up and coming teams, right? Along with us. Stephen F. has set the standard, right? That we know what we'd expect from them every year. But when you look at the teams that are in our conference, from the Cal Baptist to the Grand Canyons to, obviously the new teams that we just added, and then with us, we have a chance to be able to do that. But it takes time, right? There's a lot of things that is changing behind the scenes with the NCAA. And so, you hope with now these play-in big games that we can just get more than just one in. Hopefully we can sneak and get two in. But it does really matter about your non-conference, what you do in a non-conference piece to lead yourself in, to have your resume look really appealing to the NCAA committee to be able to get us into the tournament.
Well, talk about a resume. Okay, I'm looking at the schedule. I mean, Kansas, Oklahoma, Baylor, Arizona. That's a lot of Power 6 schools. You got Houston, North Texas, Texas Southern. You get to play Lamar, Aqua Franklin down there, who technically that should have been a conference game. Unfortunately, the Cardinals went back to the Southland. But I mean, that's a pretty impressive resume that if you win most of those games, and let's say something crazy happens in Las Vegas, I mean, that's got to kind of show the committee or somebody that, like, hey, we deserve to be there too to play in that NCAA tournament. Like that. I mean, that's not your ultimate goal. Your ultimate goal is to win the WAC. Let's be real.
Right.
But like the schedule you've put together, that's got to be arguably the most difficult in the WAC, if we're being real with that. I mean,
yeah, it is. And, that is the piece that we looked at. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think when, you look at women's basketball, you see it all the time on the men's side, right? You see a lot of your mids or D1s playing very competitive schedules, right? Because ultimately that's what it's about. Obviously you want to have a balance. You don't want your team to, again, to have beat downs or they don't have anything that's promising to look forward to. And when you're doing scheduling and you look at this team, I felt like this team can definitely go through this. Now, we had some games that we had to return. Obviously we have to go back to Baylor because Baylor came to us last year. The Oklahoma playing the Maggie Dixon Classic over at TCU was great for our for our fans to be able to see. It's right here in the area. You want that notoriety. I wanted our team to continue to have that notoriety. We did some really good things last year. So we want to continue to build on that. I felt like, we had the core along. We did some really good things within the transfer portal where I felt like this team could handle that. But I wanted to be challenged early on. The WAC, I feel like, again, is another, tough conference for us to be able, to compete in. And that's respect for the WAC and all the teams that's in that. So I felt like our team really needed to do this. And then more so than anything, I wanted to continue to bring high quality teams into the, College Park Center. Obviously Arizona is going to be playing here against Baylor. It was ideal for them to be able to come over here and play, against us. Our fans need that. This area needs that piece of it all. And so I just wanted to be able to show that, hey, we can also have high quality teams, Power 5 teams, top 10 teams in the country come in and play us.
I think we had Molly Miller on the podcast a while back when we were doing the GCU preview, and she announced that they were playing Arizona State. And Daryl and Chelsea, who usually helps us, she's not on right now, she's in class, they were pretty excited. And then we see that you guys announced that Arizona home game, and I think we were texting like crazy that, like, that's an awesome get for you guys to have it. Like you said, the College Park Center, which is arguably one of the best facilities in the Western Athletic Conference. I was talking to Greg Young about it yesterday.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that College Park Center? I mean, it's pretty nice. I've never been there, but I'm going to be there sometime this year. I promised Greg Young I'd be to a game, and maybe it'll have to be during a doubleheader for the women and the men.
Yes, you got to come by and check it out. I always tell people this. I think it's you don't really get the full experience until you actually come see it, right? And that was one of the things for me that was so intriguing about the job is it's the facility, the campus in itself is got a lot of positive things going for it. But again, not just because, again, how how we love the arena, but what we have on the women's side, we obviously have the Dallas Wings that play within the building as well too. And so that for us is a recruiting tool, just because, and also it's big for a lot of Power 5 teams to be able to come in because they may have projected players that will be drafted. We feel the same way too as well. So I love the fact that, we have this arena, fans sit right down on it. It's spacious. It's a great environment as you would have a chance to be able to see. So, I'm just excited just to be able to continue to start the season and have fans continue to come in and support both teams here.
Speaking of the Dallas Wings, you had, and maybe Daryl's going to ask it. I'll let Daryl ask his question before I bring it up.
Yeah, you played at the WNBA level. How big was being around that level of basketball in your decision to become a coach and ultimately end up at UTA?
Yeah, very good question there. For me, right, as a hooper, you always dream about playing, at the next level. And, I idolized Lisa Leslie and Cheryl Swoops and Tina Thompson to be able to see those players. So that was always a goal for me to be able to go play at the next level. And then when I did that, it was everything that was a dream come true. But now being on this side and being a head coach and being an assistant coach for many years, that was the selling point to those players, right, that have not experienced that. So to be able to tell them what it takes to get there, what does it take to stay there? That was something that, for me to talk about in recruiting. And it's not for everybody, right? Every player is not wanting to do that. It's a select few players that want to do that. So I don't always pitch that piece. That's not always the pitch that I give to recruits. The recruits that want that, then that's a different type of story that we're selling. But for me, it's a full circle for me because, I did it as a, college player, then as a pro player. And now to be a head coach here, again, I can talk about the best of both worlds.
When you made the move from assistant to head coach, what was the toughest part about that transition?
Understanding, switching your hats. Had been an assistant coach for almost 15 plus years and, put out fires. I want to make sure that I put out fires and I built relationships with players. So my head coach didn't have a lot of those things on her desk. And, I learned that from Christy Curry and then from Stephanie White. Those are things I wanted them to be able to handle head coaching duties, which I get to see every day, right? I sit down at my desk and there's something that I'm having to do. And so the importance of, allowing my staff to do their job, that's probably one of the hardest things I had to do because I will go do it, as a head coach and not understanding by the time it gets 5 o'clock, the day is gone. I'm like, hey, I haven't really sat down and become a head coach yet because I'm trying to do other things. So it's being able to give out those tasks and allowing my assistant coaches to do, their jobs and be the best that they can be in that position.
That delegation thing is always a
Yes.
big thing for a head coach. It's interesting that you mentioned that because I've had other first-year head coaches that are like the same way. We have to learn how to delegate to our assistant and trust them. And
yes,
very interesting. Going back to the Dallas Wings too, you had a busy offseason with regard to them. You purchased the 250 tickets to the playoff game for the elementary and middle school. You're one of the most – I'm not going to lie. You're one of the most active coaches on social media, and I love it. I think that is a huge deal for, players to see that their coach is promoting them, promoting the program, promoting all kinds of things that can have an impact on them. What's your mindset there with that? Like I said, I love it. I wish, no offense to all the other coaches in the WAC, I'm going to be real. I wish more were like that and understood the value behind that. Just what your thoughts are there.
Well, first off, the way I look at it is that we had a great season, right? My first 2 years have been great. And you got to tell a story. I'm big on telling the story, right? You have somebody who has never been on social, and for some reason, they may follow a person that I follow, and it may pop up on their thread. And so for them to be able to see that, they're going to be like, wow, I don't know much about, UT-Arlington or women's basketball or Mav Up or where is that? I get those questions all the time. So, as one of my responsibilities as a leader, as a head coach here at UT-Arlington is for me to be able to make sure that my student athletes have the best experience that they could possibly have, and also to be able to have a following that they deserve. And that's what you see me doing. The ticket piece of it all, Amber Cox, who is the COO here for the Dallas Wings, she was with me with Phoenix Mercury, and she was working, in their front office. And she just talked about the relationship piece. It's important for us to have that relationship because we're right here. And it's about building their fans and building it with ours, and understanding that we can really, really sell this out and have a great fans here. The attendance has got to continue to go up. So I'm going to do my part. I'm going to do my part for that. I'm going to do my part for the university to be able to tell that story, because we have an unbelievable institution here. And so I'm going to continue to do that. I just feel like that's a responsibility for me as a leader, and our kids deserve that. And so I want to continue to tell that story.
Love it. I absolutely love it.
Coach, you get Starr Jacobs back, one of the top 15 scorers in the nation last year at 21 points a game. What makes her such a tough guard for opposing defenses? And as fans of the WAC, what can we expect from her in this inaugural campaign?
Listen, Starr Jacobs, and I remember seeing this young lady when she was at Duncanville coming out. And I believe I was at the University of Alabama at the time. And I just saw a kid that was an unbelievable athlete. And so, I was like, man, we probably can't get her to Alabama. And I remember following her when she decided that she wanted to go to Kansas, she changed that scenery and ended up going to Houston. But her story is remarkable because a lot of people don't know the story. She took a year off from basketball. So it's hard, as anybody knows, it's hard to step away from that and then to be able to come back. And, she said, hey, I missed this. I missed the love of the game. So decided to go to Temple. And, really, again, recruiting was there. People were recruiting her. But then she's kind of popped up late on us. My assistant coach, Rosalind Tyndall, was like, hey, listen, we need to try to get back in on this kid. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I love what she can bring, because I thought we had a really, really good nucleus. Like, we had great nucleus here, but I thought we were missing one more piece to really kind of take this and get us over the hump to be able to compete for a championship in Sun Belt. And so watch her, again, she is, the skill set is coming, and you see, like, you think she's raw, there's a lot of different things that she does. She's a great athlete, runs the floor very well. But man, we got to play, and it was a difference that she brought. So it's brought a sense of toughness. It brought a sense of, again, that, we belong. And we needed that. I'm going to be honest with you. We really, really needed that piece of it. So she's a tough guard because, again, it's her step in small spaces, her quickness in small spaces to get to the rim. You think you have it, or you play off of her, and she can still get to spots on the floor that most people can't. But how she impacted the game, right? Rebounding, running the floor, defensively, the things that she did for our team, to where everybody thinks it was just scoring around the rim. I mean, no, she did a lot of things to be able to get to those 20 plus points a game. So for the WAC, right, you're seeing another kid that comes in at 6'2", that, has continued to work on the game. She's got to take on a leadership role for us now. We lost some big time captains with Claire Chastain, Katie Farrell, Taryn Milton. That was huge for us. She's got to step into that role now and be able to help us blend some very talented transfers along with some very talented freshmen to be able to compete and be able to win a WAC championship.
And you hit on transfers. Jure Washington was the one that popped off in my mind, Arkansas State's leading scorer from last year. How has she done with the transition to UTA? And talk about her game and what she's going to bring to you guys, and maybe hit on a couple of folks we've left off so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jira, so I guess as you looked at it all, gave us fits last year. Both games, their place, there. And I think she may have averaged about 20, 29 points against us in those two games. And she was definitely the spoiler for us on our senior day. But her ability, very unique player in a sense of, when you look at her, you don't think she's very quick. Her ability to push the ball and get to spaces, her ability to see the floor, her passing ability is something that we were very excited for, to be able to finish to the rim. So she brings, experience of what we lost from Taryn Milton to be able to give us another score at that point position. leadership piece of it, of a confidence piece that she brings to us that we're going to need, from that standpoint of it all. So, I was excited to get Jaira. We got her late in the process when we were looking, to be able to sign another point guard with experience. That's a good thing about the transfer portal, right? Where you lose, a key player, you can really go back into it and find the right fit for you. She can fit right into our style of play of being able to get up and down the floor. And to be able to defend and do some things. Kayla White from SMU is another scorer that, we were excited to get as well, too, to, be on alongside of Deja Benjamin with Jaira. Again, instant scoring for us. Her quickness, again, that's another player that gets to go along with Starr that we feel like can get up and down the floor. That is different, for us that we needed. And so it takes time, as you guys know. And I will tell you this, has it blended yet? No, it has not blended. And that's the thing that I love about being a head coach, right? Each year it's something different. And each year you really find out about yourself. How good are you as a head coach? How can you blend this? And it's not just me. It's more so it's our staff. How do we build relationships? How do we help our players see the big picture? It's not there yet. It's a process. And I say that every day in practice is a process because probably some of them are not used to it just yet and knowing their role and blending and playing and stuff. And so that from the transfer portal, and then to go along with it, with Kamara Gibson, we added some size, some athleticism from San Diego State, a Texas native, and a rim protector, and another player that we can now add that can play with her back to the basket. That gives us some size and some length that we much need for sure.
It's interesting, Daryl. We talked to other coaches, and they were actually excited to see Utah Valley's Josie Williams go to Louisville. Because of the size, she was 6'5" or whatever and dominated, the paint. And now you get Starr Jacobs at 6'2", who can play I feel like a different kind of, not just with her back to the basket, but she can take people off the dribble. She can shoot from the perimeter. Yeah, I think coaches in the WAC are going to be a little disappointed in their excitement with Josie Williams gone, knowing what UTA and Starr Jacobs and the rest of your squad are bringing in. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, Kyle, it's versatility. I think that, if I look at the game and where it's going, like for me, when I was in college, the game was completely different. When I played in the Big Ten, it was a brawl, physical games, night in and night out. And in my poor little body at that time, that frame, you're just like, hey, why did I come and play in the Big Ten and do that, right? But it built up the toughness piece. And so when you look at the game now, even from the WNBA perspective, right, and just seeing what the Aces just did, the versatility of that team, right, to be able to play some small ball and give people fits. And so for me, I think 1 through 5, when you have versatility to be able to play different lineups and do different things, that's probably one of the things that I look for in recruiting. That's really kind of my style here at UTA is that I want to be able to have some versatility, but at the same time, if we have to play, again, have, big man, we have to go out here and play bigger, we can do that. We want to play small ball, we can do that. We want to press more, we can do that. We want to play a zone team. I wanted to really, really hit on some things here in my third year that necessarily I didn't get to do in my second or my first year. I inherited a very, very good team. And so it gave me some flexibility to be able to start to add some pieces to this year to finally be able to do some things that I really ultimately wanted to do in the style that I wanted to play.
Daryl, you got anything else for Coach Shereka Wright?
Yeah, just one last question. Looking at your WAC home and away and your 1s and 2 mixes, how excited are you for some of these travels this year?
Yeah, so interesting. It's you're traveling west, and a lot of our players haven't been west, right? That's a little bit different. So, to be able to go to California and to go to Seattle, which I love going to Seattle. Enjoyed playing there when I was in the WNBA. Loved obviously Phoenix, right? Going there because I played there. So I'm excited about the travel piece. I'm excited for our players who have never had a chance to travel west to be able to do it. It is a new group of fans that we get to play in front of. And I always talk about, again, telling the story in the women's game is that we need different storylines. We need those different things to be able to tell. And so I'm just excited to be able to go to the West Coast and opens up things for recruiting, right? It is always about recruiting. And so it gives us an opportunity to be able to tap into California a little bit more. I did that a lot when I was at Texas Tech. We got a lot of kids from the West, from California. So now we get to tap into a different, area of recruiting that teams or players and recruits get to see us, and they'll be intrigued to say, hey, listen, I want to fly down to Dallas and go visit Arlington and see what that's about. So I'm definitely for sure excited for our program and to be able to look at some different, areas for us to improve and continue to keep improving.
I want to ask you about that schedule a little bit, that conference schedule. There's a game on February 25th. It's a Saturday in Phoenix at Grand Canyon. I don't know if you've seen the tweets or anything like that from their Midnight Madness that they had the other night. Excuse me, my eyes are watering for some reason. But that's going to be a pretty rocking atmosphere on a Saturday afternoon, maybe Saturday evening, between you and the Lopes, who are, two of the best teams in the conference. Like, are you excited to play in maybe an atmosphere like that? That has to be.
That's what it's about, Kyle. Like you want that. And like I told you before, like I was so excited that we got a chance to go to Ames, Iowa, because seeing those fans come out and support. Those fans was there watching that first game between, Georgia and Dayton. They were there. And obviously they were there to see their game against Iowa State. Those fans come out and support. Our kids deserve that piece of it. So, hey, listen, I was so excited to see what Grand Canyon did on their Midnight Madness piece. That's what we're trying to do here at UT-Arlington. So that's why you see my message is constantly talking about coming out support, getting our campus and our faculty and staff to be able to come out and support. It's not just Arlington, right? It's Fort Worth, it's Dallas. Like we're right here. It's in this pocket piece. So I'm going to do my part. And our kids are, that's what they need to be playing in front of. They don't need to be in empty gyms. We want to be playing in front of people because that what brings excitement. The men are doing it. Why can't the women do it? And that's the message that we as all coaches, women's coaches, are trying to, again, relay across, the country of doing that, coming out and supporting. So I think everybody's doing a really good job in their communities of trying to get fans to come out and support.
And you guys get your Mavs Madness. I don't have my Twitter up in a couple days, right? Or maybe it's
20th, I believe it is.
Yeah. So you get your Mavs Madness, UTA Mavs fans, Lady Mavs fans. Go check out your teams.
Yes.
Some excitement around the Mavericks this year. Shereka Wright, UT-Arlington women's basketball head coach. Thank you for joining us on Straight Outta Whack podcast. We'll be talking more as the season gets going here, and I know that eyes will be on the Lady Mavs this year as you join. I don't want to say you're newcomers to the WAC because UTA has been in the WAC before. Returning is a better word, returning to the WAC. So we're looking forward to it, and we appreciate the time this morning.
Thank you, Kyle Darrell. Hey, I look forward to meeting you guys in person soon. But hey, listen, if there's anything that you need from me, you know where to find me. And I appreciate you guys' support. Thank you.
No problem. And everybody remember, check the link in the description. Buy your Straight Outta Whack Hoops Digest.
I had to get that. So can I find that? Can I get that shirt?
Absolutely. I can. The link will be, I'll send you the link in an email, and see, there's one coach that wants it. I can send her. I want to say this for the fans that are watching the end of this. New Mexico State fans and GCU fans might love a couple of the shirts that I have because of the debates that we've had over Twitter for the past few years. Anyways, everybody enjoy the rest of your, what is today, Thursday. And we'll see you later on the Straight Outta Whack podcast.
Thank you all. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to the Straight Outta Whack podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other podcasting platforms. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Whack Hoops Digest and Facebook under Whack Hoops Digest for all your Whack Hoops news and information.